Hello everyone! Today we're going to be talking about an interesting aspect of House of X in the form of a longtime X-Men villain known as Mr. Sinister. Then at the end of the video I'll talk about what the future of this character is and where I think that's going to lie. Before we get into things, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell for more comic book videos. Now for those of you unfamiliar, our story starts with that of the X-Men villain Mr. Sinister. This character was born as Nathaniel Essex almost 200 years ago. As he grew into adulthood, he took an interest in genetics and became an early researcher into the mutant race. He discovered the first ever mutant Apocalypse, and over time he gained a number of powers and abilities which would make him effectively immortal. His long-lived nature and history with the mutant race, particularly Apocalypse, made Nathaniel an important figure in the recent X-Men event, House of X. You can learn more about this event by clicking on the top corner here. But the idea is that this story has essentially brought about what is hopefully a permanent change in the status quo of not just the X-Men, but the mutant race. The idea is that the woman, Moira MacTaggert, is secretly a mutant who, when she dies, is reborn with all her old memories. By sharing that information with Xavier, they have been able to completely reshape the mutant race. They have now started a new society on the island nation of Krakoa, and have made a major series of decisions to ensure that the mutant race not only survives, but thrives, in what has proven to be a very hostile world. This is where Nathaniel comes in, as he plays a key role in what is by far the most ambitious aspect of this plan. It's revealed that years ago, Xavier and Magneto secretly approached Sinister in their attempts to bring about the House of X. They asked him to start cataloging the genetics of every mutant to have ever lived, including Charles and Eric, Apocalypse and other villainous mutants, and the many millions that were living on Genosha. Xavier and Eric would help with this collection, so long as Nathaniel ensured the database was safe, secure, and redundant. Mr. Sinister, who had long created endless backups of himself and other safety measures, was an ideal choice for this, as he could store the database in many hidden sites around the world and possibly beyond. Thus, this database would always be safe throughout mutant history. Since Sinister would no doubt benefit from this plan and would want to have a collection of this data anyways, he agreed to have his memory erased of this whole meeting until the time was right. Thus, Mr. Sinister would go about the rest of the X-Men timeline unchanged and not remembering the vital role he would come to play in serving the mutant race. For the X-Men Society has begun, but with the mutant population at its lowest since the mutant race first emerged a long time ago. With so many mutants dead, mutants prone to death historically, and the fact that the new X-Men Society has made them bigger targets than ever before, finding a way to reliably protect the X-Men has become a vital part of Xavier's plan to restore the mutant race. Using a complicated process involving himself and 5 other key mutants, Xavier has devised a plan to literally resurrect the mutant race. This includes not just X-Men who died during missions in the present, although their resurrections are always a priority, but also, thanks to Mr. Sinister's database, every single mutant that has ever lived and died in the history of the entire race. That includes the many millions that died during the slaughter of Genosha, those slaughtered by the likes of Sentinels and Purifiers over the years, and even those killed during stuff like the Mutant Massacre, which involved Mr. Sinister himself. That's how Nathaniel is not only a savior of the mutant race, but one of the most important characters in all of House of X. That's a pretty big deal for a villain that's always kind of been looked down on and viewed as a B-level villain for the X-Men. So as House of X came to be, Mr. Sinister's memories were restored by Charles, and as part of an offer Xavier extended to all mutant villains, Nathaniel was given a spot in this new X-Men Society. Given his valuable contribution to the mutant race and tremendous scientific mind, Nathaniel Essex was given a seat on the Quiet Council, giving him power and status in the new mutant society. Ever the schemer, however, Mr. Sinister is not simply content to just rule, and has once again turned his attention to genetic experimentation. The last that I've seen of this character is him looking into one of the last mutants still not living on Krakoa, Franklin Richards, son of Reed Richards and Sue Storm of the Fantastic Four. Given the plot of the currently ongoing X-Men Fantastic Four series, it seems pretty clear that Mr. Sinister still has a role to play in all of this, even if he hasn't appeared in that series just yet. It's all pretty exciting, and I'd love to hear what you think in the comment section below. We'll have to see what happens to Mr. Sinister in the X-Men Fantastic Four miniseries, though that will be another matter for another day next time here on Comic Island. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.